Here's another DIY from the retired guy. Today's project is changing oil and oil filter on my wife's 2019 Lexus GX460. Had the vehicle for a little over a year, bought it with 60,000 miles on it. And this will be the second oil change I've done on it. So it's not a bad job. Definitely recommend it as a DIY. So this will be a step-by-step, and I'll show each thing I do with her. Okay, first step is removing this skid plate. Start with two 10 millimeter bolts here. There's supposed to be 3. I've got one. There should be one here. I've got one missing, and then the third one. Next are two 12 millimeter bolts here and over here. $12mm. And lastly, there's 2 more 12 millimeters here and here. And if you want to get this, this is on a couple of hangers. If you want to get this off the hangers, you got to take off this plastic piece here, which is 1, 2, 3 10 millimeter bolts. Once that's out of there, you can lift up on this and get it off these little clips that it's hanging on, and get it out of the way. And then lastly, we need to remove this little window that gives you access to the drain, 14 millimeter drain plug. And these are 12 millimeter. And then I'm going back in with the drain plug. I'm reusing the washer, just a copper washer that I had put on last time I did oil. These aren't really crush washers. They call them crush washers. It's you know, that's not a crush washer. A crush washer actually looks like this. But this one, the ones I have are a little bit too small. They don't seem to seat all the way down to the head. So I've been reusing these flat ones for as long as I've been changing oil, which is like 35 years. So I've never had a oil plug leak. if this does, I check them every time they come out. If it does start to get a groove in it, I will change them. But this one, and I've got some new ones of these. I have a pack of them, but this one's fine. I'm going back in with the same one. And don't over torque it. This is a steel bolt, and it's a thin stamped steel oil pan, so you don't want to really crank on it. When it seats, you'll know it. So that's snug right there. That's all you need. And now I'm gonna put that cover back on because I'm done with that area. Next is the oil filter. Okay, this is the oil filter I use. I think maybe this part number's been discontinued. I have a case of them. I plan on having this vehicle for a long time, so but there may be a new part number, but essentially it's the same element. These filters are elements. It's canister, and while I'm here, this is the crush washer that I use. It's just bought from a auto parts store, 1/2 inch M12 copper oil drain plug gasket. Again, it's not a crush washer, it's just a copper gasket. And this is the oil filter canister. You need a special wrench to get that off. And inside is the filter element. And this is the tool that you'll need for getting the canister off there. Don't try it with anything but the proper tool. It comes in a kit with some kind of funnel, but this is the wrench. This is really what you need. It looks like it's MX2320 is the part number, MX2320. So this oil filter canister has these ribs on it. There's one here, and then there's 2 up top. And when you put your filter wrench on it, you've got to get the 2 ribs. It's actually got slots on top for 3, and then the one on the bottom. So you've got to get that filter wrench positioned properly so that the two are on top. And if you line up the one on the bottom, the 2 on the top are going to be aligned. So you can see my wrench is over the rib here, and then on top, the 2 ribs on top are in the slot in the wrench. Now this plastic is a hard plastic canister in this aluminum housing, oil filter housing. And I've done these before. I had a Mercedes Sprinter van. This is the second time I've taken this one off. And man, they are tight. I didn't crank this one down. The last time I did an oil change, I just snugged it down. The prior oil change was done before I bought the vehicle at the dealer. And it was, I think I had to put a breaker bar on it last time to get it loose. But you definitely have to have this wrench, but we'll see what it's like. After me doing it last time where I didn't really crank it down, hopefully it won't be super tight. All right, let's see what we got. I got a 1/2 inch drive socket with a reducer. The wrench is a 3/8 inch, so I got a 1/2 inch to 3/8 inch reducer on that. And it's a normal thread. It's not reversed or anything. Oh yeah, no problem. If you over tighten it, it's almost impossible to get off. But since I put it on last time, I just snugged it down. It's coming off nice and easy. This is the way it should be if you do it right. And remember, it's plastic in an aluminum housing, so don't try to you know, act like a gorilla on it. Take your time, let the threads back out. And there's no drain plug on this cap. Some of these canisters have a Allen wrench, a little Allen bolt where you take it out and you drain the oil out of the housing before you take the canister out. But this one does not have that. So there it is. It's the, you know, the paper cartridge that goes inside there. So let me get the new one. Get that out of there. And this is the Toyota canister filter. I showed the part number earlier. And this is the correct one for the Lexus. That's the part number. And it comes with one gasket. The big gasket for the outside of the canister. So that's the old one. And that's the same one. Basically, I put that, this is the same one as this. I installed it last time. And that's all there is to it. Then the ring, the O-ring is right here. So this will come off and the new O-ring will go on. So when you go back on with this filter, don't be a gorilla on it, especially if you're going to be the one taking it off. I always line it with the single, put the single on, make sure you're on the single slot, and then the other two will line up where they need to line up. And let the O-ring do its job. You don't need to, you know, put a ton of torque on it. Just, it's designed to seal with that O-ring. And then slowly take it in till it seats. So I can hear that O-ring dragging on the inside of that the housing. And there, it's seated. That's it. As soon as that thing seats, stop, and you're good to go. All right, going back on with the skid plate, you got these two little hooks here, and they're gonna go in this little slot right here. So they go, one goes in this slot here, and the other one goes in this slot here. And then you're good to bolt everything back up and then get that plastic piece back on. put the bolts in loosely until I get them all started, in case the skid plate needs to slide around these holes. These are not super precise. Installing the 14 millimeters first. And then I'll come back with the 10s. All right, they're all started, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'm going to snug them until I get the 10s in also. These 10 millimeter bolts are all the same, 6 of them, so you don't have to worry about getting mixed up. I'm going to put this plastic piece in first. And then come back and snug up, make sure I can get all these 10s started. This plastic piece has to go on first before you put these last three 10 millimeters, because they go through the plastic. In my case, I'm missing one, so I only have the 2. All right, lastly, I'm going to come and tighten everything down. Starting with the 12s. Again, don't over torque these. They don't need to be put on super tight. Just snug them down. Come back and finish the 6 10 millimeters. That's it, all zipped up, now ready for oil. I think it's 8.2 quarts, so I use 5W30, either Mobil 1 or Pennzoil. I switch back and forth. I happen to have 3 quarts left over of Mobil 1 from my last oil change on my Honda Odyssey, so I bought 5W30 Mobil 1, so that's what I'm going back in with. All right, last thing, filling up with oil. I had a little bit of Pennzoil. I got about a quart here, and I've got some leftover Mobil 1, 5 quarts, 6 quarts, and I got a new jug of Mobil 1. So that's what I'm going back with, 5W30. That's all I use. I would never use 0W20. So good to go, easy job. Definitely a good DIY to make sure it's done right. The first time I did this vehicle, first oil change, had the wrong filter in it. The oil filter canister was, I had to put a 3-foot breaker bar on. I don't know how the canister didn't crack, but it didn't, thank God. But yeah, do it yourself, make sure it's done right. So good to go, until next time.